I want you to imagine something for a second. What if the steering wheel you've been gripping your entire life, like the one you're holding right now, isn't actually connected to the tires?
Hmm. That's a that's a terrifying thought for most people, honestly.
Right. I mean, what if every unexpected windfall, every devastating breakup, and even the exact amount of money sitting in your bank account right now was just mathematically locked in before you even took your first breath?
Yeah, it strips away everything we are taught about self-determination in the modern world.
Mm,
I mean, we're obsessed with being in control.
exactly. We love control.
We do. And the idea that you are just, a passenger in a vehicle you thought you were driving is deeply unsettling to most. But according to the source we are looking at today, recognizing that powerlessness is actually the only door to true freedom.
Which is just a massive claim. So today we are diving into excerpts from a text called 36-8 Tridengram Arrays, the Array of Fate. It's written by Xuefeng, and this specific translation was edited by Kinyu.
Yeah, and it's a really fascinating piece of work.
It is. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore this text's radical, uncompromising perspective on predestination, on karma, and ultimately how to fundamentally rewrite your own spiritual future.
So, okay, let's unpack this because we are tackling a massive reality questioning concept today.
We really are. And I think we need to start by defining the architecture of this cage we are supposedly living in.
Right, the cage.
The text operates on a cosmology that includes something called the 36-8 trigram arrays.
Which sounds incredibly complex just from the name.
It does, yeah. In traditional Taoist thought, an 8 trigram or bagua is a framework. It represents the fundamental principles of reality, how energy, matter, and consequence all interact with each other.
Okay.
But this text expands that concept into 36 massive interlocking cosmic systems that govern the entire universe. And the one we are supposedly trapped in right now, like the simulation we are currently running, is the Fate Array. And the text calls the Fate Array the most intricate of all 36 systems, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it is so incredibly complex, it is the absolute hardest to break free from.
Oh, absolutely. It's the stickiest web.
Yeah. From the literal moment you are born into this human world,
Mhm.
you are ensnared in it. And I mean, everything has already been arranged for you.
The level of detail predetermined by this array is just staggering. We aren't just talking about your birth date or who your parents are.
I was reading through this list in the text, and it essentially reads your entire life like a fixed script.
Right.
It dictates your family environment, the era you were born into, your gender, your physical appearance. I mean, if you look in the mirror and wish your nose was a little different, the text basically says, that nose was assigned to you by a cosmic algorithm before you were born.
Yeah, you didn't pick it, and your
Yeah.
parents didn't randomly pass it down. It goes much deeper than physical attributes, too.
Like what else?
Well, your inherent temperament, your hidden talents, your race, the specific region of the world you inhabit, your siblings, all of it is locked. And then it maps out the entire trajectory of your human experience.
It's wild. Like the education you receive, the exact profession you end up pursuing.
Right?
Like that promotion you are stressed about right now at work, the text says it's already decided, the specific people you encounter, the twists and turns of your journey.
It even dictates whether you fall ill.
Wow.
Yeah, the specific chronic illnesses you might suffer from, your fame, your social status, even the precise mathematical ratio of suffering to joy you will experience in this lifetime.
That part really got me. The ratio of suffering to joy is a mathematical certainty.
Exactly. It even dictates the exact manner of your aging and your eventual death. There is absolutely zero room for the modern concept of self-determination when it comes to your current material circumstances.
It makes me think of booting up an incredibly complex, narrative-heavy video game.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right. But instead of an open world where you can explore and choose your path, your character class is locked, your spawn location is locked, the NPCs you meet are locked, and the final boss is entirely chosen by the system before the screen even lights up.
You're just watching a movie play out.
Exactly. You are essentially just holding an unplugged controller, watching a cutscene play out, and convincing yourself you were pushing the buttons.
And what's fascinating here is that the text actually addresses that exact illusion, the illusion of the plugged-in controller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It notes that in youth, people naturally cling to this optimism. Young people deeply believe they can determine these outcomes through their own sheer effort, intelligence, or, hustle.
Grind set mentality.
Right, the grind set. But the text argues that this is an illusion that naturally and often painfully fades away as you get older.
Because as you grow older, you inevitably hit the invisible walls of the theta ray.
Exactly. You realize you are simply drifting along with a current you cannot fight. You experience massive windfalls you knew you didn't truly earn, and you face devastating roadblocks that no amount of hard work can dismantle.
Which is so frustrating.
It is. The transition from youth to adulthood, according to this philosophy, is just the gradual, painful realization of your own total powerlessness in your current life.
Which, okay, brings up the biggest question for me, and I'm sure for anyone listening right now. If I am just a character playing out a predetermined script, why did I get this specific script?
That is the big question.
Right. Like, why did one person listening to this deep dive get the script with wealth and perfect health, and someone else got the script with chronic pain and poverty? This feels incredibly unfair if it's just random.
Well, the text is very clear that it is the complete opposite of random.
Okay.
The text explains that the theta ray is a highly calculated karmic arrangement made by the Tao. And to understand this, we need to clarify how the text uses these terms because they're specific.
Yeah, please do.
So the greatest creator is viewed as the ultimate supreme source of all things, God, essentially. And the Tao is essentially the operating system of the greatest creator.
The operating system.
Right. It's the inviolable, mechanical laws of cause and effect that govern the entire universe.
So if I'm tracking with the video game thing, the Tao is the software running the theta ray.
Yes. And the data fed into that software is something the text calls past life genetic information.
See, that phrase tripped me up at first, past life genetic information. How does something spiritual, like a past life, become something physical, like genetics?
Think of it as a cosmic audit.
An audit.
Yeah. When your previous life ends, the Tao conducts a one-time comprehensive assessment of all your past merits, misdeeds, intentions, and actions. It essentially tallies up your spiritual ledger.
Okay, so it does the math on everything you did.
Exactly. And that final mathematical result doesn't just evaporate. It condenses into a spiritual blueprint. So when you are reincarnated into this current life, that spiritual blueprint dictates the literal physical genetics of your new body and the circumstantial starting line of your new life.
Oh, wow. So the mechanism is pure cause and effect, stretching across lifetimes.
Completely.
So the things in this life that you listening cannot choose, whether that is a frustrating family dynamic, a sudden illness, or even an unearned privilege you have, those are the direct, unavoidable karmic fruits of seeds you planted in a past life you don't even remember.
That's the harsh truth of it, yeah. The ledger has already been balanced for this current round. You did have a choice. I mean, you made millions of choices.
Right.
But you made them in your previous timeline.
Yeah.
You are currently living out the inescapable consequences of that past.
So the text is saying you did have a choice, just not in this current timeline. It insists that any attempt to alter your inherent nature, your gender, your birth time, your location, it is all completely impossible. The concrete pours and sets the moment you are born.
It's locked in.
Which leads us to the part of the text that I found the most abrasive, honestly. If we are living out the unavoidable consequences of a past we cannot change, how are we supposed to cope with the suffering that brings?
Well, the text provides a very specific and frankly a very controversial directive for this. It commands you to accept your fate.
It literally just says that, right? Like, accept your fate, exclamation point.
It does. It does not sugarcoat it.
The text argues that any resentment you feel, any resistance, any agonizing struggle against your current theta ray is entirely futile and only breeds further anguish and sorrow.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the spiritual mechanics of why it demands this radical surrender. It's not just about making you docile or compliant.
Right. It's not just telling you to give up for no reason.
Exactly. When you struggle against a present reality that is mathematically unchangeable, you generate spiritual friction. Friction creates negative energy, and that negative energy is literally the coding language for new negative karma.
Wait, okay. So by dropping the exhausting fight against the current, you stop generating new debts.
That's it. You stop making it worse.
But wait, I'm struggling with this. Let's ground this in the real world for you listening.
Sure.
If my bank account is locked by the Tao, if my health issues are locked, if the amount of suffering I'm going to endure at my job tomorrow is completely out of my hands, doesn't that just give me permission to lay on the couch and do nothing?
A lot of people react that way.
Like, why should I try to learn a new skill? Why should I try to improve my community? If the array is fixed, this philosophy just sounds like a recipe for total apathy.
And that is the most common modern pushback to predestination. But it assumes that the purpose of action is to change your current physical circumstances.
Okay, explain that.
The text does not advocate for spiritual death or lying down in apathy. Not at all. What it demands is a total shift in focus. You accept this life's array, you stop fighting the unchangeable present so that you can redirect 100% of your energy into influencing your next life's fate array.
Ah, okay. So you stop trying to hack the current video game because the code is locked. Instead, you start writing the code for the sequel.
Yes, that's a
Oh,
perfect way to look at it. The text is explicit that while this current life is set in stone, the fate array for your next life is entirely within your own control. It is uniquely yours to build, and it's determined by your current spiritual cultivation.
but if I stay angry at the game, like if I spend my whole life bitter about my terrible spawn location or my lack of resources,
Then you remain in a state of confusion. And the text warns that living in that state of resentful confusion guarantees that your fate array for your next life will be virtually identical to your current one.
oh no.
Yeah. You will just reboot the same difficult simulation, leading to another exhausting cycle of reincarnation.
Endless loops of the same suffering just because you wouldn't stop fighting the current loop.
Exactly.
Wow. So the ultimate mission the text lays out is breaking free entirely. We need to escape the human fate array and enter the celestial one.
Moving from a sorrowful, restricted existence into a joyful, liberated one in the next cycle. But moving from human consciousness to celestial consciousness. I mean, that is a monumental task.
It sounds like it.
The text outlines macro and micro shifts required to achieve this. On the macro level, it involves fundamentally transforming your faith, your beliefs, your morality, your ideals, and literally your entire worldview.
Okay, so if the goal is to stop generating friction and start building a celestial array, how do we actually do that on a Tuesday morning when we are stuck in traffic or like dealing with a difficult boss?
Right, how do you apply it?
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting. The text gives a highly specific framework for this, centered around something called Lifechanyuan values.
Yes. Lifechanyuan is the specific spiritual paradigm and blueprint presented by the author. To transcend the human array, you have to adopt its principles. This means deeply revering the greatest creator, revering life itself, and revering nature.
It also requires adhering to the 800 values for new era human, which the text doesn't list all 800 here, thankfully.
That would be a long read.
Yeah, but it describes them as a comprehensive encyclopedia for celestial living. It's like a complete rewiring of how a human being relates to the universe, handles conflict, and views their own existence.
And you also have to consciously work to repay all your debts from past lives and accumulate what they call treasures in heaven by helping to create this Lifechanyuan era for humanity.
So practically, this entails a gradual but deliberate disengagement from standard human society. You stop playing by the rules of human ambition and start operating on celestial logic.
Exactly, and the text provides a very grounded foundational practice for this micro-level work. It uses the metaphor of building your soul garden.
The soul garden. This is where the abstract philosophy hits the pavement for me. Because if you want to change your next life, you have to tend to your internal garden right now. Every single thought, every word, every hidden intention is either a weed or a flower.
And you have to actively pull the weeds.
And the text is incredibly specific about what constitutes a spiritual weed. These are our passive, negative, and pessimistic emotions. Things like jealousy, resentment, anger, hatred.
Condemnation.
Right. But it also includes things we barely think twice about, like comparison. This one stuck out to me. Why is comparison a weed?
Because mechanically, comparison is a denial of the Tao.
A denial.
Yeah. When you compare your life to someone else's, say, you look at your neighbor's new car,
Yeah.
you're essentially looking at their predetermined karmic array and demanding that your past life math result in their current life outcome.
Oh, wow.
It is a form of spiritual arrogance.
Yeah.
You're saying the Tao did the math wrong, and that generates immense friction.
That makes total sense. You're arguing with a calculator. It also lists laziness, selfishness, greed, hostility, and arrogance as weeds. But then it throws in infatuation and attachment. I mean, we build our entire modern culture, our movies, our romance on infatuation and attachment.
We do. But in the context of the fate array, attachment is the ultimate trap.
How so?
Attachment means you are trying to hold on to something in the physical world, a person, a job, a status, that is ultimately temporary and, more importantly, dictated by a script you don't control.
Oh, I see.
So when the array inevitably shifts and takes that thing away, your attachment turns into suffering, which generates more negative karma. All of these, stubbornness, cruelty, rigidity, They must be pulled by the root.
You essentially have to rip the very mechanics of modern human drive out of your soul.
You really do.
And what are we planting in the empty soil once we pull all that?
We foster the growth of active, positive, and optimistic qualities. The flowers of the soul garden are truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, sincerity, tranquility, and harmony.
Tranquility is an interesting one there. If friction creates bad karma, tranquility is like the ultimate neutralizer.
That's a great way to put it.
It is the state of flowing perfectly with the Tao, no matter what nightmare the Theta Ray throws at you physically. It's a complete internal rewiring. You are trapped in a physical cage, but your mind is tasked with cultivating a flawless, serene garden.
And the text acknowledges how overwhelming this sounds. I mean, it's a lot. But it points out a fascinating paradox toward the end. It states that the simpler something appears, the more complex it actually is, and vice versa.
Okay, break that down.
Well, the theoretical origins of the theta ray, the infinite variables of past life genetic information, the cosmic math of the 36 Bagua is exceedingly complex. You could study it for lifetimes.
Right, it's cosmic physics.
Yes. But the actual path forward, the daily application of breaking free, distills down to one incredibly simple, unifying command. The text ends by saying the path can be summarized in a single phrase. Follow the way of the greatest creator.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now?
Well, if we look at the entire journey this text has taken us on, it requires a profound psychological pivot. It starts by completely demolishing your sense of control over your external circumstances. It uses the inescapable ledger of karma to explain exactly why your life is the way it is.
Right.
But then it takes that profound powerlessness and transforms it into the most empowering task imaginable. You aren't supposed to change the world. You are supposed to cultivate a celestial consciousness within yourself. You pull the weeds of resentment so that your next cycle is liberated.
It flips the definition of winning completely upside down.
It does.
Your external circumstances, the job, the health, the bank account, are a cutscene. You can't change them. But the state of your soul garden, your capacity for sincerity, your refusal to give in to anger, that is 100% up to you.
The ultimate freedom is found internally, not externally.
Which leaves me with a paradox to chew on, and I want you listening to really think about this today.
Okay, let's hear it.
The text insists that absolutely everything in your current life was mathematically predetermined by the theta ray before you were born. Every encounter, every piece of information you receive, everything.
Everything.
If that is true, doesn't that mean your decision to listen to this exact deep dive today was also predetermined?
Oh, wow.
Right. Did the universe lock in a script where you would stumble upon the very knowledge required to break out of the script? Did the theta ray just seamlessly arrange for you to learn how to dismantle it?
That's a beautiful thought to end on.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep tending to your own gardens, whatever that means to you today.